steer fired up again. We're gonna move some gravel real quick. Bob brought us a load a few videos back, and I think I finally know what I'm gonna do with it. So I always assume you guys can tell on the videos, but in reality, just looking at the screen on the video, you probably can't tell. This area right here has just compacted down so much. We had the gravel up this high everywhere, but you can see where we take the skid steer, it's just packing it down. And that skid steer weighs about 9,000 pounds, so I understand, you know, the simple fact that weight is going to compress that. We need to fix it though, because I have a really hard time coming back. If you will see from the sun or not. I have a really hard time coming back because there's a ledge to climb, and the tires that are on there for concrete, so they really don't grip all that well in anything else. So we're gonna put some gravel in here to fix it. Got it almost all done, and I'm not sure what's going on. The skid steer sucked this ball closed, and I'm assuming it's out of fuel and that that gauge is wrong up there. So yeah, there's that. But on a brighter note, like I said, we expanded this. Now, I don't know, I don't think I put it in the videos, I can't remember honestly. Whenever I pull the 80/30 with the manure spreader out of that barn, I'm always pulling in the yard. Not a big deal unless it's wet, and majority of the winter, it's wet. That's generally when we get the most of our rains, you know, so, well, fall, winter, and spring is obviously when we get majority of our rains. And every time we bring a, you know, an 18,000 pound tractor plus the manure that's in there, so probably another, I don't know, 10,000 pounds between the manure spreader and the manure in it, we keep making ruts and makes it rough where you're mowing here. So we're just gonna put it into it. We're gonna put that gravel that Bob gave us for Christmas to use, and we've expanded this. Should be enough space now for us to be able to pull out and not go in the yard, and also to come back, swing in front of the barn and pull out this way and back into the barn with the manure spreader. We do have other intentions for the manure spreader as far as being able to get the manure out of the barn. We just don't know what the best way is yet. We're still undecided. We don't want to make any hasty decisions, but we do know for a fact that we all will constantly use this, because whenever we're pulling the gooseneck out, we end up coming out here in the yard. It's just one of those things that just, we never made it big enough before, so we're fixing it now. I'm gonna figure out the skid steer, hopefully, and get it out of the, or get it in the shop, I hope. So, it is a few days later. Haven't really done much with the skid steer, just got it in here, got it out of the way. I was able to just simply pull the line, and it did over a couple, I don't know, like 20 minutes. It ended up letting that bulb inflate back up, and then we connected the line back up, primed it, and it was fine. However, I want to look at that screen that's in the tank, because I'm willing to bet that it's got a bunch of junk on it, and that's what's plugging it up. So we're gonna have to look right down here, right there. So right where I've got the light focused primarily, there's a green clip. That green clip is, or that fitting with the green clip on it, I'm gonna take that out. That is what would be the one that feeds our fuel to the skid steer. So I'm gonna take that out, check the screen on it, make sure it's clean, and make sure that the screen's okay, because it's possible something's wrong with the screen or it's just gunked up. Either way, we'll fix that up. And then we're also gonna look at something else, because we had a fuel leak just kind of randomly. I don't know if it was a vent line or what, but I filled the tank full and it leaked about half of it out. So we're gonna look into that real quick as well, since we're already looking at this. I'm doing a little thinking. So remember how I said whenever I fill it up above half a tank, it leaked some out? We're gonna fill it up first, see if we can figure out where it's leaking from, since I already cleaned this off before we pull those lines out. So let's do that first. Things were a little harder to diagnose than what I thought it was gonna be on this. So I had to call in a professional. What?
I'm not a professional.
You're not? You lied to me. Now, I had to get Gage to come out here and help me, and I'll show you what he did. So he came over here, and he would push air into the fuel tank. Matter of fact, can you do it again, and we'll show everybody where the leak's at? Go. Off. One more time, buddy. Off. As you guys can see, it's just a little pinhole. I don't know what caused it, because it doesn't seem like anything was there to rub against it. And yeah, so that's what it is. But on a brighter note, careful, we did find it. I don't know how I'm gonna go about repairing it. It is quite the procedure to pull the fuel tank. And in reality, as long as I keep it below half a tank, it won't leak. So, I don't know. Thank you for helping. Anyways, I put this up on the lift because I was really hoping that the drain plug underneath, there's a drain plug on the very bottom of the fuel tank. I was very much hoping that that was where my leak was. Needless to say, it's not. And it's unfortunate, because that would have been a much simpler fix. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with this yet. I really wish, I hope that maybe there's a way to maybe prod it with a, you know, some sort of like plastic weld. I don't know, but I'm gonna clean it all off and go from there. Like I said, I don't know what I'm gonna do exactly. I'll run it, get some more fuel out of it, get it pretty much empty, and we'll go from there. It's windy, it's fall, well, I guess it's winter time. So it's always windy, it seems like, but especially during the winter, right, because we feel it more. However, you can probably hear we have compressed air blowing through all of our pasture water system. I have a couple of hydrants open out here because I want to blow all the water out of there. There's some spots that we simply could not get, you know, 18 to 24 inches below the ground. Partially because we were using a smaller tractor, but partially because even if we had a big tractor, there was bedrock there, or not necessarily bedrock, but there was rock there that we simply couldn't get down past. Was it the right answer? Probably not. Will I pay for it later? Most likely. However, we don't use these water lines during the wintertime anyways, so it's not as big of a deal for us. But I'm gonna go down here, I'm gonna shut this hydrant off, and I'm gonna open my high side hydrant now. I do the low side hydrants first, just because it's easy to get all the water out of them, because all the water wants to drain down to them. All right, so you can see all the water's pretty much out. It's just blowing air through mostly. And a little bit of water here and there. So we're gonna go ahead and close this one. This is the high side, or at least for this end of the pasture watering system. You can see we're blowing a lot of water out. That's good. And now we're pretty much got nothing but air water mixture in it. It doesn't matter that there's water still on the line at this point, because the little bit of water that's in there isn't enough that it's going to destroy any of our lines. So those of you who don't know, water does not compress ever, whether it's under, you know, hydraulic pressure or whatever. It won't compress. Now air will, but the difference is that when water freezes, it'll expand a lot. The air will still compress, so the ice that would form in the lines of wherever we happen to have some water in there we'll have room to expand at that point. This is the high side on the other end of the pasture watering system. Pretty sure you can see how the ground slopes down and then goes back up. So this is the highest point. We're just doing this one because it's the first one. Then we'll do the very end over here. That's the actual high point. So we'll see how that goes. You'll notice that I'm enjoying the nice weather because, well, it's not usually like this at the end of the year. Today's December 26th. And it's just not usually this warm. So I'm gonna enjoy it. So I'm not using the side-by-side. So I'm not using the side-by-side and I'm actually just running from one to the other. There we go, that's the end of it right here. So the water's not gonna go back that way because the compressed air, I've left it on obviously because of where I'm running out here. When I get back to the front, I'll leave the adapter on that I have and it'll let all the pressure, the air pressure, let it all out. This is what I was talking about. Oops. Wrong piece. For those of you wondering how we connect these or make it to where we can just leave this fitting on here all the time, the female fitting for air compressors will not leak air or water out. However, the male connectors will. So what we did was just simply made a male to male or female to female connector, I guess, out of two male ends like this. And we put this in and this end. Obviously the other end goes in the other fitting right here and then makes it to where we can use it whenever we want. Now, during the winter time, there we go. We will throw a good little amount of that WD-40 gel lube on there because it'll stay here and it's supposed to last for a year, which that's not such a big deal because we don't have to worry about water getting in here or anything like that. It's not exposed to the elements, as you can see. We just put this back on there. Moving on. Hey guys, I'm not gonna bore you too much with this. I had to take the pinion off, well, the yoke off of the pinion on my truck because as you can see it's leaking. We're gonna replace that seal. We did go ahead and do all of our services as well while we were under here, so that's why you see all this oil and sawdust everywhere. Changed the transmission fluid and filter. Went and changed the engine oil and filter too because it was due. Just drained the transfer case and still made a mess even with the drain pan. And we'll go ahead and refill it. And then we drained the rear diff. We'll fill it up here shortly after we change the seal. And then we'll go ahead and do the front diff and she'll be done. Should be good for services for the year, other than, you know, engine oil get changed again every 3,000 miles, but still pretty good feeling. All right, we got it all cleaned up. You can see, I mean, it is a tiny little hole, like almost a pinhole, or like a needle. I mean, it's just, like I said, very, very tiny. I'm pretty confident we'll be able to patch it with this Plasti-Weld for fuel tanks. So we're gonna give it a whirl. So won't be able to show you a whole lot until after I do it. So the game plan is I'm gonna mix up the JB Weld, the Plasti-Weld stuff, put it on this paintbrush, reach in there and spread it around really good. The biggest thing was making sure that that got clean, and since we've got that clean, like I said, I used the vacuum. I don't know how well you can see on the video. Using the vacuum and the air compressor, so basically the vacuum is there to suck up the excess fluid, and the air compressor is there to blow everything away from the spot. So every time we'd spray brake cleaner on it, we'd clean it off, and then we'd do it again and again. Got the first coat on there. We're gonna do probably 2, maybe 3. But it filled that that hole very well. It all kind of sunk in there, so makes me feel pretty good about it. So I said a couple more coats and we'll see.